Welcome back to Marching to Madness this morning as we go down to Dallas, Texas, and SMU for head coach Tim Jankovich, who joins us. He's 101-54 in 6 years as head coach of the Mustangs. And coach, you were the fastest to 100 here, about 20 games in school history.
Yeah, that was pointed out to me this past year, and I was a little surprised by that, but proud of what we'd accomplished.
As you guys have worked during the off season, just talk about the players' reactions to being back into a normal routine as COVID-19. It was such an opponent for you and your team.
Yeah, it was, for everyone on this earth, it was incredible. But
Yeah,
to be in the middle of a basketball season and trying to navigate everything, I felt sorry for the players. I did feel thankful that we were able to play. It would have been far worse for the players not to be able to play. But there was a lot of hardship, and you can tell there's just an enthusiasm this summer. I'm sure it's across the board in our country, but looking forward to hopefully a normal season in terms of protocol, and also fans in the stands and travel and all those kind of things. So you can feel the enthusiasm. I know that I sure feel it, and I know our staff does. You can feel it in the players.
Yeah, Kendric Davis is coming back. Okay, he's averaged 19 points a game, 4.2 rebounds. Obviously, just talk about what this means now for you and your program and SMU basketball.
Well, he's obviously a great player.
Yeah.
His sights are on trying to be the best point guard in the country. That's a high bar, but definitely he's going to be in the discussion. I hope he has a fantastic year. He's highly motivated, highly competitive, and an incredibly hard worker, not only in practice, but the amount of time that he spends in the gym outside of practice, which I'm very partial to. Guys that I just think any real champion of a player is going to be in that gym constantly outside of practice time. And he's definitely one of those guys. The guys that have had the most success here were always the guys that spent the most time in the gym, and so he's being rewarded, and I hope he's rewarded a lot more as time moves on.
As he goes through the NBA process, what are some things maybe he learned that are going to be team worthy now that's going to help him, but also the Mustangs?
Well, I think one of many great things about him is he's got a good sense of reality. A lot of guys, I think it's going to be easier than it is. He has a very good grasp of that, and he's also really open-minded in listening to us share what we know about what people at the professional level want, what they'll pay for, what they won't pay for, what they won't stand for. And so he's really matured a lot in those areas, and I think being the best leader he can. He understands that not only playing well, but just his leadership, actions, words, all those kind of things is going to be a big part of his success moving on. And then, basketball wise, of course, I think hopefully he's understanding that they're also looking for the little things, not just scoring points and making an assist, but there's a lot of little things that go on in a game, and they're looking for the all-around player, especially for a guy at his size. He's about 6 foot tall. Your margin of error is not the same if you're 6'8", and he definitely understands that. So hopefully he's just going to continue to improve as he has over the past 2 years. He's highly motivated, and we're looking for big things from him this year.
Another player on your roster, Emmanuel Bandoumel, he shot 41% from the field and he led you in threes. If he picks up his shooting percentage to say, the mid 40s overall, how does that change how you can attack?
Yeah, he's a guy that is another diligent worker. He's an attention to detail guy.
Mhm.
He's been with us 2 years as Kendrick, and he continues to get better and better. He does a lot of things well, and he is certainly a very good shooter. Uh, as he continues, hopefully, to become a great shooter, obviously that's just a weapon to your arsenal. It also makes your spacing bigger. The better you shoot it, the bigger the floor gets. And he is a guy that spreads the floor, but he is someone that still room to become a great shooter, a pure shooter. And he's also a guy that can really get fouled, can really drive the ball. He's an outstanding athlete. So really good all-around player, and a guy that has a lot of experience in our league. And I think he's got a very bright future beyond SMU as well.
Transfer portal has been incredible, obviously, to follow. I thought you guys, just looking at who you picked up, you really helped yourselves a lot. And just talk about first the Weathers brothers, Michael and Marcus. They rejoin each other here, and then Tristan Clark just cut down the nets at Baylor.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Weathers twins, they're not identical twins, but they are twins.
Twins.
You know, we've been following them since high school, and both are very talented. Out of high school, I think that Michael, the guard, was probably a little more highly recruited. Went to Oklahoma State and did outstanding, played outstanding there. It ended up there, and Marcus, went to end up at Duquesne, and was twice second team all at A10, which is a really, really good league. So Marcus, his toughness, his competitiveness, his all-roundedness, if that's a word, boosted him to a very high level in a very high league. Michael most recently led Texas Southern to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And many people have told me they felt like he was the best player in the SWAC. He was an outstanding player at Oklahoma State, and obviously we're expecting and needing big things out of those guys. Tristan Clark, a couple of years ago before he got hurt, I think one publication had him as a top 20 player nationally. He was averaging about 16 and 7, including in Big 12 play. 2 years ago, he got hurt, and played hurt. And then this past year, it got to be too much. He stopped playing, thought that he was going to stop playing. And then, come about January, starting to work out again, and started feeling better and better. And he just kept pushing it. And he got to a point where he felt like, hey, I really can play. I'm pretty darn healthy. And he got motivated again to restart playing. And, our hope is that he is going to be healthy. And if he is, he's just, he's a great, great talent. And he's a guy that has put up big, big numbers at a very, very high level. If we have to, we'll have to manage his minutes and practice and those kind of things. Maybe we won't have to, but if we have to, we will. We understand going in that, he has had some medical issues, but he's very optimistic. He's been working out for a long time now, and he thinks that he can be as good as he was. So I hope he's right on that.
Yeah, I hope he is too. It'll be interesting to see him back out there. Jalen Smith, and you got an interesting signing, that Mr. Basketball in the state of Texas, Zurich Phelps, both at guard. Talk about what they're bringing already, maybe, to your program.
I've been so impressed with both of them. You're right. Zurich was Player of the Year in Texas, an outstanding all-around player. I mean, he's ahead of his years. I don't feel like he's a freshman at all. Jalen, the same way. They come in here with a great background. They've been really, really well coached. Both, ironically, have parents that played college basketball, and it shows. You can tell that they were brought up in basketball homes.
Yeah.
Both had outstanding coaches outside of the home, and have been incredibly impressive. Just their maturity, their basketball IQ, their all-round, feel for the game. Great additions. I just think, their future is really, really bright. We also, Tyler Lundblade is the other freshman, and he's been the same way. He's just,
Mhm.
attention to detail, tough. Uh, Sometimes, freshmen will come in and they're not ready for the intensity, the toughness, all this, but all three of those guys have come in and they don't feel like freshmen to me. And they're also playing against mostly much older players. We have a lot of older guys and then some freshmen. We don't have a lot of in between. So they're playing against some pretty old, experienced, mature guys, and they're more than holding their own.
As you look at freshmen recruiting as a head coach, are the freshmen in high school getting squeezed some with this transfer portal?
Yes, I think they will, and I think it will uh, continue that way. I think it'll be a little bit like when the 3-point line first came in. If you remember,
Yeah.
if you go back and look at the attempts of 3-point shots, they were very, very low, and it took slowly but surely, the game or whatever figured out, oh, maybe we should shoot more of these, and
Yeah.
and the numbers started to make sense. I think the the automatic, you can play right away, whatever you say, the portal
Mhm.
and instant eligibility will lead to uh, high school kids getting squeezed, and there will be more transfer recruiting than ever before, obviously, because there's going to be more transfers. And so it's going to be a big shift, I think, you know, in recruiting philosophies. And it will be interesting over the next several years to see who continues down maybe the same path and who's going to maybe, take it over here and be far less high school recruiting. And then, of course, most people will be somewhere in the middle and try to, you know, get their lineup from both sides, from the high school kid to the transfer.
Looking at the American, it's really been an interesting offseason, I guess. And former SMU coach and Hall of Famer Larry Brown now hooks up with Penny Hardaway at Memphis. I was just curious, as you know, Coach Brown, you've worked for him, worked with him. Just curious about your thoughts on him coming back at the young age of 80.
Well, I think first of all, it's an inspiration to everybody.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented, I think. So I give him incredible credit for still being passionate at that age. Certainly, he doesn't have to work. He's put himself in a position. That's the last thing he has to do.
Sure.
He wants to, and so I think that's a great inspiration. And I'm also happy for him because I know uh, that he really does want to coach. He doesn't want to just play golf or whatever. And so I think it's great. Very happy for him. I think it's great for the league, and I think it's a tremendous inspiration for all of us looking ahead in our lives.
Yeah, thinking further on that, the NBA playoffs really been interesting this year. I think this has been one of the most exciting playoff seasons in recent memory because you have two teams in the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns who haven't been around, haven't sniffed it. Phoenix in 1993, the Bucks in 1974. How have you seen this series kind of unfurl from a coach's standpoint?
Well, so far it looks like home team,
Home
like so,
teams.
it's so funny in the NBA because it's so different than college, but
Sure.
you watch a team and they go somewhere for 2 games, and after those 2 games, you're like, oh, this thing's over. This there's no way they can beat them. Heck, they're killing them. Then
Yeah.
they go home and it's just the whole thing shifts back around. And they say it all the time, but the playoffs don't start until the road team wins a game. And so so far it's holding court, but for me, they're two really, really fun teams to watch.
Definitely. Yeah.
Milwaukee has had a great reputation over the last several years of being an outstanding, maybe the best defensive team or one of them. And Phoenix, out of nowhere, just a couple of years ago, they were, yeah, nobody was looking at them at
They were
all.
at top of the lottery. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's a great story, and they're so fun to watch
Mhm.
offensively. Um, I mean, how can you not like watching them? So I love it. I know probably the NBA, they, it's not the big markets or whatever, the big, power franchises, but to me, I love it. I agree with you. I think this is one of the funner NBA finals that we've had in a long time.
Last thing, coach, name, image, and likeness. It's finally here. These kids are finally going to get money from some place for what they're doing for all the schools, what they're doing for college basketball, what they're doing for television. Talk a little bit about your take on this and where you think this could go in the future.
Well, I think it's fantastic that players can, live in the free market, which
Finally.
is basically what it is, and not limit that. I think that's terrific. I do worry about this a little bit, that I hope I've talked to our players, I hope you make as much money as you can. This is great. Whatever you can do. But my fear for all players is that I hope that they don't take their eye off the ball of the two best ways to make a lot of money. One being to get their education, to keep their eye on that ball, the importance of the degree should they stay the full term. And then the other one is to maximize their ability to draw a salary for years and years in basketball. And in other words, how much time you're going to spend in the gym working on your game. So to me, if the focus, if your priorities are in place, the academic piece of making sure you graduate, of maximizing the time in college to become the best player you can, so you can earn the highest salary for the most number of years, that's where the big money is to me. I hope guys don't spend, half of their time chasing a little bit of money now and sacrificing that. But having said that, where is this going to go? I don't know that anyone knows. I think that college sports will be drastically changed over the next several years. I think there's going to be major changes because it's just happening right now. But I don't know where it all will land. But I do think it is outstanding that players can definitely have some money in their pocket and then some, and again, live in the free market like everybody else gets to.
Certainly. Coach Tim Jankovich comes back on Marching to Madness. Coach, it's always good to talk to you. Good to see you now with the Zoom, and let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach.